Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Next video in the Ask Mr. Hall of Fame series, where my viewers, my subscribers, you ask any questions you want about anything, and I take the opportunity to answer them and have a great time doing so. So this is just kind of the next series here, or the next video in the series. Always like to mention at the beginning of each video, please do not leave the questions here on this video. Leave comments, but please leave questions on the link down below. Go to that video and leave your questions. That way I have them consolidated to one place, easy to check off what I've answered, and just trying to keep track of that and bouncing around of 15 different videos, like I'm not going to catch them all. So other than that, let's just kind of jump right into it. I'm going to start off with a really good question from Bad English Rex, who says, you love music and records, so how fast do you typically start talking about them with new people? And have you been in a situation when you've been so excited to talk about music, excuse me, and afterwards you realize that the other person really wasn't that interested at all? So that's a very good question, because I've actually had some conversations about that recently. And the answer is no. I've never been in a situation, at least nowhere near knowingly, been in a situation where I've talked about music and the other person was not interested at all. And I think the reason is, this is probably the easiest way to describe it. Being vinyl collectors and music lovers, and just everything that surrounds this crazy world that we're involved in, and kind of why we do the VC thing and why we love each other and watch each other's videos and all of that. This is a very unique place to be, like a record collector and hanging out and interacting with people in record stores, because I really feel that it's one of the only places that even good, open-minded, caring people, sensitive people, people that think about others and everything else, it's the one place where a lot of us will come in and it automatically turns to me, 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 me. I found, I have, I got, I once had, I have a buddy, me, 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 me. It's like, I can't think of another place in life where I interact with a lot of people that talk in the me like that all the time. But in the record store, that is like the everyday conversation with almost every single person that comes in the store. And it's not in a negative way, it's just kind of like the natural dialogue when we get in those situations is very acceptable for two people to say me, 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 and then it's like, oh, that was a great conversation. But then when we go most other places, like we usually don't go to work and me this and me that and me this, and it's like, what are you working on? What are you doing? What do we have to do? What are you? But in the record store, it's me, 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 me. So I've always been very mindful of that change in dynamic when oftentimes talking about music. So knowing that there's always kind of a barrier, I feel I need to get very comfortable knowing that myself and the person I'm talking to have a comfortable relationship in a me type of conversation. So I don't just randomly start talking people's ears off about music, because that's just something that's always kind of right there. It's like I haven't developed a me type of a relationship with you yet, so I don't feel comfortable talking about it. So that's probably my easiest way to kind of describe that. But it's so funny, especially if you have a chance to actually work in a store where you have regulars that come, and it's not negative. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing negative about it. It's a fun language that we get to share with each other, to share our excitement about what we've been doing musically. Because oftentimes when we step out that door, 99% of the rest of the world does not get us or understand that about us or whatever else. So when we find another freak that gets it, we're like, oh, me, 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 me. And we have a great time doing the me conversation. So, so again, long answer there, but yeah, no, I'm most people have to kind of pry it and prove that relationship to me before I start even rambling. So I haven't had a lot of experiences of going on too long with someone who is 100% not interested. Kind of funny. Let's see. Next question. If you could only oh, if you could only ever listen to one, who would you pick between Billy Joel or Billy Idol? That's a toughie. And I think these two albums can really kind of sum up how that challenge would kind of come about. And again, you guys know all the hits by both artists. And I would say if I could only listen to one moving forward for the rest of my life, it would probably be Billy Idol. A few different reasons why. I mean, number one, Rebel Yell is one of the absolute just most important albums to me throughout the course of my lifetime. So I couldn't just so easily get rid of that. And I think too that 80s new wave is really such a magical genre or element of music for me. So much of Billy Idol's stuff really kind of flows with what was going on during that time period. And even with amazing songs like, you know, Piano Man, New York State of Mind, Moving Out, and like all of Billy Joel's just amazing early stuff. New wave still means more to me than that time period of music. So I would have to go Billy Idol would be who would I have to choose between those two. So yeah, Billy definitely takes that one. Next question, Eric Weinbender. Good to hear from you, man. He says, zombie apocalypse. What 5 musical celebrities would you like to be crewed up with? And of course, the zombie apocalypse, not the end of the world or desert island, but zombie apocalypse. That makes a big difference in who you pick. So, number 1, I'm going with Danzig. Number 2, Henry Rollins from Black Flag. Number 3, Kerry King from Slayer. Number 4, Ted Nugent. And number 5, Johnny Rotten, Sex Pistols. So that's going to be the 5 men on my crew. Why do I pick those? Because again, we're surviving an apocalypse here. We're not talking about a desert island wanting to listen to music every day for the rest of your life. So Danzig and Rollins, you know they can both kick ass. You know, absolutely insane. Same thing with Kerry King, you know, from Slayer. He would definitely be a force to be reckoned with. Ted Nugent, you know, between his arsenal and my arsenal, will be well armed, ready to take on anything and everything. So you got to have, you know, Uncle Ted in there. He'll know the best way to kill and take down anything moving. And then Johnny Rotten, I mean, he's so freakishly scary. We might be able just to put him out front and he would scare the zombies away. So in that apocalypse, that might actually be a situation where the zombies are hiding from our crew as opposed to us running and hiding from the zombies. So between the 6 of us, I think we would take care of business pretty well. So that would be my apocalypse crew. Next, where are we at? Oh, only 7 minutes. Okay, or 8 minutes. So next question. If you had to leave your apartment all of a sudden, this is from 2 from the trunk. If you had to leave your apartment all of a sudden, what 2 pieces of music would you grab? And I wasn't sure if that was about like house burning down or, you know, so the way I'm answering it is, I have to leave really quick. I'm going to my mom's house for the night, and I just want to take 2 albums to listen to for the night. You know, sit in my old room just to enjoy it. So I thought the 2 albums I would probably take as of this very moment would be these 2 right here. Bruce Springsteen's Western Stars and Last American Virgin Soundtrack. Just both 2 fantastic albums. I mean, I've rambled about Western Stars so much as arguably being one of Bruce Springsteen's best 2 albums of all time. So just magical, emotional, beautiful strings, just the whole 9. And so always, I never get tired of listening to that. And this right here is just one of the most fun albums. I mean, and again, if I was going like to my mother's place and sleeping in my old room, I'm going back to my junior high and high school days. It's making me think about the 80s, and this is one of my absolute favorite movies from the 80s, with a killer soundtrack with stuff like Teen Angel Eyes by Tommy Two-Tone, Whip It by Devo, which of course was in every 80s movie ever made, Since You're Gone by the Cars, I Know What Boys Like by the Waitresses, and on and on. Just an absolute fun album to listen to. So those would keep me well entertained throughout the night if I was just running out for a night to stay at mom. So that's how I kind of took that question. All right, so next question here, almost a 10-minute mark. We have Beth S. Everybody knows Beth here in the VC. What keeps you inspired to make videos? And if you could go back to the beginning of your collecting days, what would you tell yourself back then? What keeps me inspired to make videos is really kind of the same answer I gave to the me. Like, this is one of the places where I can go and have so many friends and people that I know and have grown to love that understand that conversation. And I feel comfortable, again, coming to you guys saying, look what I got. This is cool. This is original pressing. This is amazing. The me. And you guys are like, that's great. That's freaking awesome. That's amazing. And me. You know? So having that connection with so many people is definitely one of the things that keeps me inspired to continue to making videos. I think I also stay fairly inspired because I don't have a lot of rules put on myself with making videos. I don't have to do a number of videos each week. I'm not limited to doing a number of videos. I'm allowed to take a break whenever I want, and you know, I'm not worried about monetizing or trying to do a bunch of different things to really generate more views and get 50,000 subscribers. Like none of that stuff really matters. So I stay inspired because I just sit down and just talk music when I get the urge to talk music with you guys. What I could tell myself, if I could go back to the beginning of my record collecting days, what would I tell myself back then? I thought about that question before because, like, you know, your first instinct is to go back and say, you know, especially back when I started collecting and the resurgence hadn't taken place and you were getting, you know, the stuff that's costing $200 now you got for $10 back then. Your first instinct is to say, I would go back and tell myself to get all of these rare pressings and, you know, get near mint stuff and original pressings and blah, 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 blah. But I even think that's kind of a catch-22 because as much as I would have loved to have told myself that back then and have that stuff now, I can't say I would want to go back and erase just kind of the magic and the joy that also came from going to a record store and going to a dollar bin knowing I'm going to find 20 albums that I absolutely love and really want. And I'm going to get these 20 albums and pay $25 and come out and go home and be perfectly happy. You know, I mean, that was a very, very magical like time in my collecting. So as much as I would have liked to have focused and had near mint and OG stuff and all of that, I wouldn't want to go back and erase that. So, you know, it's even hard for me to say I would tell myself something like that. I think if there was one thing that I would tell myself back then that would still be carrying over to today, it would have been starting my database stuff a lot earlier and keeping more details if I could tell myself that back in the beginning. So one of the big things I would love to have included in my database right now would be where I found each record that I had and how much I paid for it. I would love to have that for every single piece in my collection. So I would tell myself to go back and do that. So yeah, that's probably the best way for me to answer that question. So thanks for that one, Beth. Mark Yoga Park. Hey B, as a musical journalist, I like to ask a lot of things, but I'd rather do that in a face-to-face interview. Well, if you ever wanted to do a live stream with me, I would love to do that. So just throw that out there. And last question here. Yeah, we're 13 minutes. Last question here by Mike's Got the Spins. I was wondering if you have any jazz dispensary records. If so, what do you think of them? I've been fortunate enough to get 3 Moon Rocks, Orange Sunset, and the Dark Defunct Blend Volume 2. I really enjoy and recommend them if you haven't heard them already. I mean, I'm not like overly familiar with them. I do have this one piece by them, which is the Defunct Blend that you mentioned. Hadn't really heard of them before. I know this came out Record Store Day, and one of my co-workers picked it up that day and he was listening to it, spinning it that day, and just again, just kind of ear dropping. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was interesting, so I went ahead and grabbed a copy before I left that day. And yeah, I mean, I definitely like it. It's kind of cool. You know, it was interesting, something a little bit different, but I definitely don't know enough about them yet to really kind of, you know, dive in and give feedback on who they are, what they're doing, and what I think about all those different elements. I just know I kind of dug this album, and again, I don't bring anything into my collection I don't absolutely like, so this is here for a reason. So yeah, but that's the only thing I really kind of know or have about them. So, all right. So this time we'll keep this one right at the 15-minute mark since I typically go over. But again, great questions, VC. Thanks so much. And like I said, any new questions that pop up, please go down to the link below. And I'm going to keep knocking all these out until I get every single one answered. All right. So thanks, and we will talk to you soon.